Imagine a mother who sacrificed her youth, her health, and her happiness just to raise her children. She dedicated every ounce of energy to them, seeing them through difficult times, ensuring they had everything they needed to grow up. But as time went on, her children, once innocent and kind, started to see her as a burden. This is the heartbreaking story of how one elderly mother was treated by her children and what happened when they finally read her will. Meet Martha, an elderly woman who had dedicated her entire life to her family. Martha was in her late 70s, with a kind face etched with lines of laughter, sorrow, and resilience. She was a woman of simple means, living in a small but cozy home filled with memories of raising her 3 children, Jacob, Lisa, and Emma. These were the children she had sacrificed everything for. As a single mother, she had worked tirelessly to put food on the table, pay for their schooling, and ensure they never went without. She had poured her heart and soul into raising them. But as Martha got older, her body and mind began to slow down. She started to struggle with her hearing, often asking people to repeat themselves. Her vision wasn't what it used to be, and her movements became slower and more deliberate. She had trouble keeping up with the rapid pace of modern life, and her children were quick to notice. Rather than showing understanding, however, they responded with impatience. They had grown up to be successful adults, each with busy lives of their own, and they began to see their mother as an inconvenience. Jacob, the oldest, was a businessman, driven and ambitious. He was always glued to his phone, checking emails and making deals. Every time he visited Martha, he seemed to be in a rush, barely giving her the time of day. He'd sigh loudly whenever she didn't hear him, sometimes rolling his eyes, or even raising his voice, as if she was supposed to just get it without asking questions. "Mom, you've asked me that 3 times already," he'd say, clearly exasperated. Lisa, the middle child, was just as impatient. A high-powered lawyer, she valued efficiency and found herself embarrassed by her mother's old-fashioned ways. She would often scoff at Martha's lack of knowledge about modern technology. When her mother struggled with her new smartphone, Lisa would mutter under her breath, "I don't have time for this. You're hopeless with technology." Emma, the youngest, was more indifferent than openly disrespectful. As a social media influencer, she was obsessed with appearances and worried that her mother's old age would reflect poorly on her. When Martha would ask her for help with simple tasks, Emma would feign a smile, but often ignore her, brushing her mother off with a dismissive tone. Martha's heart broke a little more each time her children mocked her or treated her like she didn't matter. She knew they were busy, that they had their own lives, but she never expected them to lose their respect for her. They no longer saw her as the strong woman who had raised them single-handedly. They only saw her as the old lady they were burdened with. Despite the pain she felt, Martha continued to love her children unconditionally. She never raised her voice or showed her sadness. She simply endured. But inside, she wished they could see the mother she once was, the woman who had worked tirelessly to give them a good life, who had loved them through thick and thin. As her health continued to decline, she feared that she would leave this world without ever hearing them express their gratitude or love for her. One day, Martha fell seriously ill and was taken to the hospital. Her condition was severe, and it became clear that she didn't have much time left. The doctors informed her children that she might not make it through the week. When Jacob, Lisa, and Emma visited her, they were finally forced to confront the reality of losing their mother. Yet, even in those final moments, they struggled to show her the compassion she deserved. They were still too busy, too distracted, too distant. Then the inevitable day came. Martha passed away quietly, surrounded by her children, though their minds were elsewhere. They mourned her loss, but the truth was, they hadn't fully appreciated her while she was alive. Soon, it was time to settle her affairs and read her will. At the lawyer's office, Jacob, Lisa, and Emma gathered to go over the details of their mother's last wishes. They were expecting a straightforward division of her modest estate. After all, Martha didn't have much. But as the lawyer began reading, the children quickly realized that this wasn't an ordinary will. Martha's words cut deep into their hearts. "To my beloved children," the will began, "I leave you more than just my belongings. I leave you my love, my sacrifices, and the years I gave to raise you into the people you are today. I have watched you grow, celebrated your achievements, and supported you through every challenge. My only wish was for you to be happy, to feel loved, and to remember where you came from." The lawyer paused, letting the words sink in as the children looked at each other with mixed emotions. The will continued, "To Jacob, my eldest, I leave my wedding ring. This ring symbolizes the strength and commitment I had to you and your siblings, even when life was hard. It is my hope that when you look at this ring, you remember the promises I kept and the love I gave you unconditionally. May you treat others with the same patience I showed you, even when it was difficult." Jacob felt a pang of guilt. He had been so impatient with his mother, always rushing her, always treating her like she was a bother. He hadn't realized just how much she had sacrificed for him until now. "To Lisa, my daughter, I leave my journal. In this journal are my thoughts, my dreams, and my prayers for you and your siblings. It is a record of the love I felt for you, even when you couldn't see it. May you read it and understand the depth of my care for you. May you learn to be patient with those who need your help, as I was patient with you." Lisa looked away, ashamed. She had been so dismissive of her mother's struggles, always assuming she knew better, never taking the time to listen. Now she realized the journal contained a lifetime of love that she had taken for granted. Finally, the lawyer read the last part of the will. "To Emma, my youngest, I leave the family home. This home is where you grew up, where we shared countless memories, laughter, and love. But there is one condition: you must live in this house for a full year before you can decide to sell it. During that time, I hope you will come to understand what it means to have a home filled with love and sacrifice." Emma was stunned. She had always thought of the house as old-fashioned, a relic of the past. But now, she saw it as a testament to her mother's love, a love that had been there all along, even when she had ignored it. As the lawyer finished reading, the room was filled with silence. The three siblings sat in stunned realization, each grappling with the weight of their mother's final words. They had spent years mocking her, dismissing her, and taking her for granted. But now, they saw her in a new light. They understood finally that their mother had been so much more than an old lady with failing hearing and slow movements. She had been their rock, their guide, their protector. In the days that followed, Jacob, Lisa, and Emma began to change. They visited their mother's grave, bringing flowers and speaking to her as if she could still hear them. They apologized for the years of neglect, for the harsh words, for the impatience. They began to reconnect with each other, sharing memories of their childhood and realizing just how much their mother had shaped who they were. Jacob began wearing the wedding ring, a constant reminder to be patient and kind. Lisa spent hours reading through the journal, crying over the words her mother had written, feeling a renewed sense of respect and gratitude. And Emma moved into the family home, filling it with warmth and laughter, finally understanding the meaning of a home built with love. Their mother's passing was a painful loss, but it was also a gift. Through her will, she had given them one last lesson: the importance of love, respect, and gratitude. They had learned, too late, that their mother's love was the most valuable inheritance of all. And from that day on, they vowed to honor her memory by living lives filled with the same kindness and compassion she had shown them. For in the end, they understood that true wealth wasn't measured in money or success, but in the love and respect they carried in their hearts.